Hi, welcome at Designers for Lunch, the second Dutch Design Week edition, now from Rotterdam. And today we have Lucas Zito for lunch. He is rethinking societal behaviors and opens up debates with his design and his installations. So welcome, Lucas.
Hi, thank you.
Hi. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, thank you. How are you?
Good. I understand that you're calling in from Paris. Is that the place where you live and have your studio?
Exactly, that's where I live, and I have my studio in the basement, so it's pretty close.
Yeah, that sounds also quite convenient these days.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. So maybe if you can first give a short introduction, and then we will have a look at your projects, your graduation project, and also the project that you're presenting this year during Dutch Design Week.
Sure. So I started my studies in France. I did the fine art studies at Les Beaux-Arts, and then I went straight away to the design academy, from which I graduated last year in July from the public-private department. And since then, I've been keeping on going on with this graduation project that have evolved in many directions. And yeah, it's I have this sort of field of expertise with cigarette filters. Many of my projects are related to this because I feel like it's a big issue and also a big opportunity to make something good of it, basically.
And when did you figure it out that you wanted to work with those cigarette butts? What inspired you to start working with it?
Well, it's quite ironical. It's because I am myself a smoker. So in 2017, I had like the ashtray in the living room was filling up with me and my roommates, and every day I was thinking, can we do something with these? I mean, it feels like there is some value left in there. So we had an assignment by Mara Scugenis, and I decided to work with these, and then I've discovered many things, which for me is still like one of the I'd say biggest element in my design. It also fits with circularity. It fits with like the fact of depollution, and it's in general it's a big conversation piece. So I kind of like this idea of the cigarette filters. It's a bit of provocation and also bringing solutions.
Yeah. And are you still smoking nowadays, or did you stop smoking after 2017?
I'm still smoking.
So let's talk a bit. So let's talk a bit about Filter Loop, your graduation project. I will show a video, and then at the same time you can tell a bit more about the project, so we know what it is about.
Sure. Yeah, so basically, Filter Loop started after my internship in Berlin, where I discovered the wonderful fund system, which is the equivalent to the statiegeld system in the Netherlands. Basically, it's a system where most of the waste is refundable. The beer bottles, plastic bottles, light bulbs, frying oil, batteries, many things. And I've wondered to myself, why are cigarette filters not refundable? That would like lead to many solutions and good things for society. First of all, if like every cigarette filters were redeemable up to, for example, 10 cents, that would lead to like a complementary income for people in need. Also, the streets would be cleaner. It would have a way better impact on the environment. So I tried to come up with two systems. One system, which is basically a recycling system, and one social system. And the social system is this whole part where like the society should accept to have more refundable, redeemable objects regarding the waste. And the second system is basically what you see on screen. It's a system where you can recycle the cellulose acetate that is in the filters and create some kind of new raw material. But raw material that can be injected in the industry as well as for the people. So like the aspect I chose was 3D printing, because that's what people can produce very easily in their houses. So this machine that you see on screen is basically a theory for a machine in which you can create your 3D printing filament from the collection of dirty cigarette filters. So the whole machine cleans them, processes them, and then because it's supposed to be a public intervention, you basically go up to the machine, collect the filters, get a paper telling you what amount you've collected, and then from that amount you can print a object, a trophy, which basically becomes your token for your good action. And yeah, I think it's people need to be rewarded for them to do good things on a daily basis, I think.
And it's also nice that you make it really tangible, because they deliver those buds. Maybe they even smoke them themselves, and then they get a token in return. So you really become aware, and you take a moment of time and to be educated by the system, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know if you've ever heard about there's a place in Paris called La Villette, and which is like a very, very educative place, and they teach you many things, and no matter how old you are, they will tell you the things like if you're 5 year old. And that's what I wanted to reproduce, something which is very playful, and that teaches you in a way that you can only understand.
Yeah. It's also it looks quite appealing, but the subject is really quite toxic. So it's also a nice way that you make it approachable, but then later on you really go into depth and into detail, and you really learn something from it. You haven't been sitting still in the last year after graduating. You had some good plans to take it one step further. So what was the next step after your graduation with the little factory?
Yeah, well, because basically the whole graduation project was about creating those systems, and creating them in the most realistically way as possible. After graduation, I basically ended up with plans. So I thought I might as well apply them now and then build the machine. So this is what I've been doing since graduation. I've been building the machine, and it has changed a lot. Now it's way more realistic, way smaller, more compact. It can process way less amounts, but also in the same time realistic amounts. And it's in big part inspired by the Precious Plastic by Dave Hackens. So yeah, the machine is finished. Basically, I need to now process, as the issue becomes, how can I gather as much material as I need during this pandemic, because this problem with cigarette filters is it really goes up to the sanitary crisis. It's very suicidal to pick up things that people have been putting in their mouth all day. So it's a little on a halt right now, but yeah, basically.
And is it already standing downstairs in your studio? Is it in working order now?
Yeah, no, it's dismantled because it takes some space. And but yeah, like for example, one part of the machine, the extruder, is working perfectly. I'm using it to recycle my other waste of 3D printing, so PLA, PETG, and these kind of things. But yeah.
It must be great to make your own tools to recycle locally these days when you're a little bit homebound.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to hear.
Yeah.
You were planning to show the machine working for the first time in Milan.
Yeah.
Do you have any expectations about where you will present it for the first time, or
well, I don't necessarily have expectations. I'm curious to see. for me, the most important part in this machine is not the machine itself and the technique, is more like the engagement I can create with the people, because that's the whole point. So because this is supposed to be a public intervention, it's going to be the how I can engage with people, how I can, because often the reactions I get is that the problem is smoking in the first place, which is true, but we still end up like, even if people should stop smoking, if we should stop smoking, the issue is still that we at some point have to pick up all of the trash we've made. So yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of dialogues with people, and that's the thing I'm looking forward to the most, I think.
Yeah. And how were the responses when you presented it the first time? Because it's about debate. Did you already have some good debates at your graduation show, or what
Yeah.
was the reply from it?
Well, yeah, at graduation show, I've got some nice debates. It felt like people were really inclined to listen and have their perspective enlarged, I'd say. But yeah, the debates were interesting. But the in general, it's a mix between curiosity and disgust.
Yeah.
It smells.
Talking about talking about the disgust and the smell. Now in 2020 at Isola.design district, during Dutch Design Week, you are presenting cancer objects. I think already the name is already a conversation starter.
True.
So can you tell me a bit more about the project that you are now showing at Materialized?
Yeah, so cancer objects, it started in 2017, basically when I had this revelation that I wanted to work with these dirty cigarette filter. And so basically it's very, very crafty. For filter loop, it's very related to chemistry and engineering, and with cancer objects, which was initially cancer vases, but since now I'm also making lamps and containers and paper, it has evolved to cancer object. There's a big part of the process which is the cleaning. It's really important that the objects are clean and away from all chemicals. So it's basically I reverse engineered like one specific part of the production line of cigarette filters, and it's called precipitation. So it works with water, and I have to create specific mold in polypropylene, a plastic that doesn't stick to anything. And the process is really it even in the aspect of the lamp, even if it's really aesthetic, it looks like, for example, a lungs of somebody who have smoked for too long. And there's something which is like very toxic and very fragile and poetic. And I like this sort of opposition. And I think it's also something which is very up to debate. But yeah, the people in general really think that the material is very surprising, because it is what used to be smelling very nasty and covering the grounds in the street. Now it's a lamp, and it's more poetic.
It sure looks poetic and also a bit more natural than what you would expect.
Yeah.
So it has a bit of a wolf or felt-like feeling to it. But the process of cleaning, how are you cleaning it? Is it very intensive? Is it using a lot of water, or did you figure out a way to also clean it in a more sustainable way that it's not harming the environment?
I'm trying to use the least chemicals as possible, so I need a lot of water to do that. But it is possible to distillate the water and to get it back. So that's what I'm doing. But indeed, as you might know, one cigarette filter can pollute up to 200 liters of water. So it becomes very, very nasty, because in this process, I have worked with over 10,000 cigarette filters. So I figured out that the problem is the tar in the filters, because tar is very sticky. So I need to get rid of this. So because I managed to, how do you say, melt, if I can say it like this, the acetate with some very strong solvents. I need to find a way then to separate the tar and all of the rest of the chemicals. So what I do is I use bleach beforehand, because then bleach will kill all of the proteins in the filter. So everything that is organic based and has some proteins will be killed by the bleach, and it will also bring this white color. But I think that if you I haven't sent the lamps to a lab, but I think if I would, I can be sure that it's not 100% clean. There's at least 5 to 10% of chemicals that are harmless because you're not going to put them, you're not going to consume them, but it's a very tedious process to clean them in a craft, like not with industrial processes.
It must also be something that if you clean it until a level that it's clean enough, then it should be fine, because the more you clean it, also the more polluting the cleaning can become.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's something that I think you don't want to go to.
Yeah.
What is the thing that is driving you to create a more sustainable future? Because that's really something that you're telling us a lot about.
Well, I tend to think that in general, there is value kind of everywhere. If something is here and it's physical, there is some value to it. Regarding, like, it doesn't matter how much value, but there is some value. And regarding waste, because there is so much waste, if you oversimplify this perspective, it also means that there's so much value. And so I like the fact that you can take some undesirable elements from what we can find in the streets and transform them into something valuable, not to create some value, but also to raise awareness about the fact that everything has some value. For example, decaying leaves, you don't want them in your house, and yet you can create some compost with it, and then with that compost you can create some food. And I think there is nothing should be linear, everything should be circular. That's my opinion. And I think I mean, today it's not only my opinion, it's the opinion of many. But I also think that it would be good if design would start like focusing on the right things and stop being led by things like capitalism and stuff like that. I think now is a good time for design to, or actually at least for designers to bring solutions, more solutions. I'm not saying they're not doing it, but I think it's the perfect time to do that. So that's basically seeing the systems that already exist and trying to see how I can improve them. And I think this is what drives me the most.
It's nice to hear your drive and motivation, and also that it really sounds like you're a system thinker, but you're also making like the tangible object, like the cancer faces, the cancer lamps. So it's not just theory. You're already showing that you can actually do stuff with it, and you can make a change, and you can make a difference.
Yeah.
How do you think that design is going to evolve in the future?
I think it starts by some stand back and thinking whether, because that's basically what you just said right now. For me, system thinking is really important, but I'm also very attracted to beautiful things and creating stuff with my hands and showing the possibilities. It's just a matter of who you want to speak to. And being able to speak in many languages, many different languages, whether it's aesthetic, whether it's system, whether it's pure industrial design solutions. It's good to be very polyvalent and not too focused in one thing. And so for me, it's important for designers to not seek for the sustainable etiquette or label, but to really do something sustainable. Or if they want to do something which is just aesthetic, then they should just do something which is just aesthetic. But they shouldn't, for me, they shouldn't do something in like I don't know, made from collected waste if there is not a real perspective behind that. Otherwise, it's just a selling argument, and that's hypocritical.
As much if you can really show that it can evolve, it can go to a next level, and there are steps afterwards. So that's also very interesting to hear that after the graduation project, you already changed the system, made a working prototype, and that you can't wait to show it in the public and get the responses from the people that can get inspired by it. So that's about design. So also with your studio, you will keep working on sustainable projects, but you will also keep on making beautiful aesthetical projects. Just how the wind blows, or
it's a little bit how the wind blows, but I have some limits where like it's even if I don't use sustainability as my my how do you say, my main weapon. I cannot work towards something if I don't find it sustainable, or if the methods I'm using are not sustainable. It feels like then I'm lying to myself. But for example, right now with a friend, I'm working with 3D printing furniture, and we've started a first prototype, which is 3D print like a chair. It's 3D printed from a new filament, and so it's not recycled. The next table we're making is going to be fully made from recycled PLA, because otherwise we're just participating to the problem. So it doesn't matter if it's going to be just aesthetic, as long as it's not only fake it till you make it. I don't really like this fake it till you make it perspective, because then it's just you lie basically.
It sounds like you really have a hands-on mentality and you really want to make stuff tangible and to show it and prove it. And also it's again the question, what is sustainability? Because if you 3D print a chair with new material, you don't have a lot of waste materials. You might be able to recycle the entire chair. The chair might last for 50 years. So then it's also still the question, what is sustainability in that case?
True.
I think we're already past the time that was set for this live talk. So thank you very much, Lucas, for joining us.
You're welcome.
And we're looking forward to seeing you at the next live physical design events, hopefully. And thank everybody for watching. Tomorrow we will be back with Telerico to talk about ceramics. Thank you, Lucas.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.